Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another PMP Q&A session. Our today's topic is project change management. Very important topic from exam perspective. You will see a lot of questions, and I personally felt this is one of the most challenging topic in PMP exam. All right, let's start. Question number 1. Robin, you have chosen option A.
Yes, I did find difficult to get the best choice here because each one has some sort of substance in it. But I felt that what we needed to do here was to get together as much information as possible and do a proper analysis of the issue and find out what the impact is going to be. So that's why I went for A.
All right. So you're saying we need to do something different. We need to find another location or something like that. And for that, we need to follow the integrated change control procedure.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Richard, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, this is I read this and it's like, man, somebody dropped the ball. And all if your project's this far along, the project's underway to build a new community center. I'm assuming hopefully this is during a feasibility plan, and you can just initiate a discussion at that point in time to just find an alternate location. Because I mean, if you have a set of drawings in your building to build on a wildlife habitat, man, it's just not going to work that way. But I mean, I'd imagine that would come through permitting as well. So I think you're kind of still in the initial stages of this to where you can actually just like I'm imagining this as feasibility and design. You're in that really front end of building of developing this community center. But it says the construction project is underway. And like I said, I think that should have been caught at the front end, because that should not have gotten past a permitting office if it's encroaching in a wildlife location. At that point in time, you figure you're early enough in the game to just talk about where else can we put this? Can we move it away? I mean, I don't think that you're in the project like digging dirt yet and breaking ground without this not coming up. So that's kind of why I just said, see, I thought that it was kind of early enough. I don't think the environmental impact assessment was worth it because it's protected. Like it is a protected wildlife habitat. So your environmental impact, there's not going to be one because you're not going to build there.
Yeah.
The integrated change control process and the issue log. Like I said, I think my interpretation of this question is that you're so early in this to catch this that it should just be a discussion with like an architect and an engineer. Like, what else can we do? And that's why I just kind of landed on C.
All right, thank you. Kokila, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, so it is just saying that it comes to the light that chosen location for building encroaches upon the protected during a routine progress meeting. So it's just a topic that's coming up. So the project manager immediately, the next step, we should look at the environmental impact assessment to see get more details and assess it before going on to anything else. So that's why I picked B.
All right, thank you. Marta, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I chose option B, the same reason as Kokila explained, because I thought it would be important to review and make sure that there is an environmental issue there, right? Because it says it comes to light that chosen location for the building encroaches upon a protected wildlife habitat. You know, I would make sure before I would start to initiate any discussions and make sure to bring up the proper discussion in place. That's why I chose option B.
All right, thank you. Francis, you have chosen option D.
Yes, I've chosen option D because other options are a little bit more not resolving the issue. As much as option D doesn't to resolve the issue as well, but we can update an issue log, then talk to stakeholders. I think it will be like more or less like it's a protected wildlife, so obviously we're not going to do anything on that wildlife because either way in the long run they may demolish it like infrastructure. So therefore construction want to go ahead, in my opinion. So therefore we have to update the issue log and then talk to sponsor or shareholders like, oh, this is not going to happen, so let's find alternative like solution.
All right, thank you. Alan, you want to say something?
Yes, I also choose option B because the first point is that we need to understand how we are going to paradise the habitat. So first I need to understand what is the damage, and after that I can look in for another place. So
All right.
I think that is the corruption, I think.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's try to solve this question. So option A, follow integrated change control procedure and initiate a change request. Without understanding the situation, without analysis, without deciding like we need to do something different, we cannot follow integrated change control procedure. Integrated change control procedure starts with submission of a change request. Now that change request contains proposal. Okay, for example, this is what we want to change. And this is another location that we have chosen. You understand that? So that request contains each and everything. Detail about what aspect of project we want to change, what's the alternative option that we are going for, what are the cost impact, schedule impact. So it's a comprehensive proposal that is submitted for further evaluation and processing. So right now, what's happening, it says a construction project is underway to build a new community center. During a routine progress meeting, so it's a progress meeting, routine progress meeting, from this, we can get the indication the project is in running stage, either in initiation, planning, or execution, or monitoring, could be anything, right? So progress meetings are being conducted. So in that progress meeting, somebody highlights that the location for the building encroaches upon a protected wildlife, right? So this is something new that, somebody has highlighted now what you would be doing. So just on basis of that, we won't be submitting the change request. So change request is when you have decided, okay, this is what you want to do, and this is the change that you want bring to the project. So option A is not correct. Option B, review the environmental impact assessment. So what we are doing in option B is we're saying, okay, our building is encroaching upon a protected wildlife habitat, but what would be the impact of this? So we're not talking about impact here. Regardless of the fact that it has impact or it doesn't have effect, if your building is encroaching, you won't be able to execute that. So we are not analyzing analyzing the impact here. Even the impact is there, even the impact is not there, that's not your job. Your job is to not encroach upon any other's territory, right? So option B is irrelevant here. Option C, initiate discussions for finding an alternate location. Yes, absolutely. This is exactly what we want to do. If we have a building, let's suppose, that encroaches upon a protected wildlife, means we can't execute our project there. But we just don't do discussions, right? There should be some sort of documentation. Like, for example, okay, initiate discussion for finding an alternate solution or location. So what's next? So what we do is whenever we have a problem, the very first thing that we do is we document that problem. Once it is documented, then discussions and meetings and follow-ups and everything starts. So the problem here is that it's something has happened that comes to your knowledge. It is a past event that has occurred. It's an issue. Whenever you come across an issue, the very first thing that you do is you document that issue. So what we would be doing is first we will be documenting it. Once it is documented, then we will be, starting solving it. Like we will be conducting meetings. We will be trying to approach this problem. Correct answer is option D. Let's review the answer.
One way or another right now, Israel says it will not wait forever and that it is prepared.
All right. Next question. All right, Daniela, you have chosen option C.
Yes, I chose option C more by elimination. Don't have that much experience with this area. So change requests, you don't need a project sponsor for that. The change control board is the higher up, which would approve if there's a need for a change request. I don't believe that any project stakeholder goes and creates a change request. So it's basically one centralized person, which is a project manager, which decides after consultation with the parties that this is a change and we require a change request. That's the rationale.
All right, thank you. Marta, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, likewise, Daniela mentioned the project. I understood that the project manager's responsibility would be to initiate or is authorized to initiate the change requests.
All right. what is meant by this? Like project manager is authorized to initiate change requests. So for example, if you're a customer, let's suppose, so can you submit a change request or not? If you are an end user, customer, or you are a PMO, can you request a change or not?
I think the customer needs to raise what would be the change, like the ask. And then I think probably the project sponsor would evaluate, and then the project manager would authorize.
Yeah, that's correct. So means the question says who has the authority to submit a change request, to start a change request, to initiate a change request. So when somebody requests something that you're saying customer request, so that is initiating change request. You understand that?
Yep.
Okay. So, okay, based on this, let me take one more comment. Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
I picked option B because change control board, so far I learned, it's a group of key stakeholders. So I believe the key stakeholders are allowed, they have authority to ask for a change. So that's why I picked instead of any project stakeholder.
But Manmeet, we're not saying authorized to approve change request.
Yeah, like initiate the change request. Yes, I understand. That's why I picked B, because that has more specific key stakeholder instead of any project stakeholder.
Okay. So again, same question to you. Can customer request a change or no?
Obviously, they are the client, and they are the one who gonna get the product from the project manager, right? Like from the whole point of having a customer is because they are the client. They are the ones who can request a change, and accordingly we can make amendments at our end. So yeah, customers can do initiate a change.
But customers are not part of change control board. CCB is your internal function. It has nothing to do with customer. It's your internal control mechanism to make sure that whatever change is being requested by anyone, that goes through a formal process.
Yeah, because clients is not in the option as well. Like A, B, C, D these are all internal people like sponsors, CCB, project manager, and stakeholders. So out of those, I found B option correct.
All right. You're saying if there would be an option customers, then you would have been choosing that as well.
No, because it says authorized to initiate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused. Authorized to changes, clients can do that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. It's okay. Kokila, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I chose the one thing that you're bringing up again and again. Yeah, customer can
In the
initiate change
complex IT
request.
infrastructure projects involving the multiple teams, stakeholders,
Please keep
including
yourself on mute, everybody.
And then it's not a change request. Anybody can, a QA can feel like that definitely something is impacting. They can also initiate. Developers can initiate when they see something is a flaw in the thing. So I
All
felt
right.
anybody can initiate it.
Anyone can initiate a change request. Any project stakeholder. We're not talking about change approval. We're not talking about change processing. We're just talking about initiation of a change request. Any project stakeholder can submit a change request. Now, then it's the project manager's discretion and CCBs and sponsor to decide if they want to approve it or not. Any relevant project stakeholder can request a change, right? Due to their concern. If they are getting impacted by your project, they can request a change. They can say, okay, this particular aspect of project should be changed because of these reasons, because of environmental concern, because of better quality, because of any missing requirement, or due to any or due to changing requirement. So any stakeholder can request a change, right? Let's read the explanation. Correct answer is option D. All right, next question. All right. Mary, you have chosen option C.
Yes, it's quite, for me, difficult question because I'm not IT or Scrum expert and I don't come from that field. So I guess most responsible is Scrum Master, who is actually facilitating all of this, although yeah, it's a very difficult question for me. Although it can be development team because they are the one who are doing all the work at the end of the day, and then they
All right.
produce final work.
All right, thank you. So one thing for everybody, if you find any question difficult or any topic difficult, take notes. And after the session, go back to that topic and try to understand that. So for example, if somebody is not sure about roles and responsibilities of product owner, Scrum Master, development team, or any other entity, you can write it down. So when you go back, you can read that topic. This is how you would be learning in addition to these Q&A session. Okay, thank you, Mary. Right. Anton, you have chosen option A.
Yes, I chose option A just because it's an agile's nature to be like adaptable to possible changes. So then to me, there's like there is no formal change management in agile.
All right. So Anton, if there is any change in agile, how that change is handled? So for example, if there is a new requirement or something, do they have any procedure process or nothing?
I'm not sure. Or like I can only guess in this case.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Yusuf, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, because the first, how are you? And the second is that the P is because one who's responsible for the change and contact with customers mainly is the owner. So if there's a request of change, should go through the owner and then through to the team, but it's not the team directly.
All right, I understand that. Thank you. But what's wrong with option A here?
Option A, what's in agile? There's no. There is management plan and portfolios. It's there. It's available. But when you start to ask request, you raise a request of change. You go through the owner. He's the one who negotiates with the customer.
All right. Thank you.
But you don't go to the office. You don't go to anywhere. The owner is the one who's dealing with the customer.
All right. Thank you. So one thing in Agile, there is a procedure, there is a framework to handle changes. It's not like that changes are handled randomly, right? One change is handled in a different way, other change is being handled in a different way. There is a procedure for that, right? And some organizations, some IT organizations, Agile organizations, they have dedicated change control board, right? So for example, if there is any change that would go to that change control board, they would approve that, and then that would be implemented by product owner. So it all depends upon the authority level of the product owner. But official Scrum guide does not refer to CCB, but it does say there is a change management procedure. What is that? Customer would be requesting a change. That change would come to product owner. Product owner would evaluate that. Product owner would include in the backlog. Product owner would prioritize that, and then team would be handling that, right? So product owner is the person who manages changes in the agile project. And that is done through backlog grooming, backlog refinement. So what we say backlog refinement or backlog management, that is actually change management. Like you receive change requests and you update your product backlog, and team pulls work items from the backlog for execution. So in Agile, we do have a procedure to handle changes. If we don't have a procedure, then there won't be any management, right? So we do have that procedure, and that is product owner is responsible to handle those changes. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right. Next question. All right. Jean, you have chosen option B.
Yes, I see that this evaluation of impact of regulatory changes, I think this is the best route to go and see whether there are things that may match with or just to see how they can adjust with the whole project, the way it is going on.
All right, thank you. Jashri, you have chosen option A.
Given the scenario that with the recent changes in financial regulations, the intended functionalities of the tool itself is getting mitigated by way of not meeting the needs of many clients. So that's why I felt it is the better option to halt the project if it is no longer relevant.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Jashri, one comment for you. Your voice is not clear, right? So you can adjust your mic or something, maybe. It always happens, so you can check that.
Okay.
All right. So you're saying we should halt the project, we should stop it because it is no longer in accordance with the customers or clients' needs. All right, thank you. Alan, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, in this case, we already know. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's like Jashri, your mic always like that. It's very challenging to hear you. You can check that as well, but please answer.
Okay. So I choose D because at this point we know the impact of the project. So we need to change the formally the project because we are not having the benefit of this project because we are not getting all the functionalities compared.
All right. So Alan, again, like previous question, without knowing what exactly you want to change or what change you want to introduce, how you can raise a change request, right? If you don't know yet, So there is no point of raising a blank change request. So first of all, you need to do the analysis to understand what's going on, what's the alternative, and then you will be moving towards raising a change request if that is needed. So without doing that analysis, what you would be raising, we don't have any idea about that. So directly raising a change request without analysis, we don't do that. So option D is not correct. All right. Robin, you have chosen option B.
My consideration here was that very strongly on that word may no longer need or meet the needs. So we've still got an element of uncertainty which we have to address. So in order to do that, we need to evaluate the impact of the changes. We need to analyze exactly what's going on and take it further from there.
All right, thank you. So you're saying we're not sure. So first thing is we need to evaluate to see what are the possibilities, and then we can proceed further. All right, thank you. Okay, Kokila, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, because to understand the impact of the regulatory changes and propose a shift. So he has to have some assessment done before he proposes anything for the project.
All right, perfect. So problem with option A is that directly stopping the project without looking for alternatives would be just waste of whatever you have done. So you don't directly do that. You look for any alternative, you look for any other available option. So directly stopping the project would not, solve the problem, right? That would be waste of all the work that you have done. So option A is not correct. Option C, seek guidance from the leadership. We don't directly approach the leadership without doing the homework. It's project manager's job to see what are the possible ways how we can do things in a different way. And project manager's job is to propose solutions rather than seeking solutions. So always go for options where you are taking the lead, you are proactive rather than you are reactive and you are approaching to senior management for their guidance, right? So first of all, make sure that you have done all the possible things that could have been done. If the problem is still there, then you can, proceed to seek guidance from the senior management as a last resort. So last resort is going to the senior management if you have done everything. Here we haven't done anything. Since we haven't done anything, so first we need to come up with some options, some other possibilities, and then we can propose to senior management, okay, this has happened and now we can do this, this, and then you can choose whatever would be the right option. And raise a change request, I have already talked about that. Go for evaluation of the situation and try to understand and propose a shift if there is an alternative option, right? Again, same question or similar concept is being asked again and again. Evaluation, analysis, go for analysis first. Do your homework first. Come up with alternatives. Come up with different ways of doing things. So whenever you see that option, do not ignore that. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Rahul, you have chosen option C.
Yeah. A talks about directly talking to client. So I guess you don't really just jump onto, right, go and talk to client about if there are any issues before doing your homework. Second is submitting a change request. I mean, you don't just directly changes. Again, it's the same thing, You don't directly submit a change request. D is you're directly updating it. Any design, you're just making changes. So C felt more feasible where you are first kind of experimenting, which is in building a prototype and ensuring if the changes or redesign would actually work or not work. And only then you can go ahead and communicate to the client or submit a change request and then update the design. So
All right, thank you. So Rahul, developing a prototype required some resources, time or effort or cost, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of.
Okay. Thank you. So I like your explanation of option D, like update the design specification. We don't directly update. Develop a prototype. You said that's the right option. Submit a change request, then again, and communicate with the client. You said we don't do that without homework. But if we read the question statement, does it say that we have done some homework or no? I'll talk to somebody else. Meanwhile, you can think about it. All right. Mary, you have chosen option A.
Yes, so because the product was formally approved, and then there are actually regulatory compliance. After regulatory compliance peer review, there are some anomalies. So I think it's the best because it was formally approved to communicate with the client what is going on, like transparency, and then to go through this change process, because question is of the regulatory compliances that has to be met.
All right. So you're saying to uphold the principle of transparency, we should have open communication with the client. We should tell them what's going on, and then we should follow the formal procedure. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. So anybody else? Richard, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, so as I read the question, I after reading the question, what my next steps would be, I went through and I eliminated option C. We don't do that work yet. And I kind of eliminated option D because we don't up design specs. We have to make a change request. So the question really to me came between who do we update? Do we update the client or do we update the project sponsor? A lot like what Mary said, transparency and ultimately the client, like the design has been approved formally, so the client is well aware of what is the design should be. So before changing it, making the client aware that there were anomalies found when we're doing the compliance review, and letting him know that we have to go through and we have to change some things that he might not be expecting what he's expecting, and then from there on we will go with initiating the integrated change process. And like I said, I was just between that and the sponsor, and I mean it doesn't say whether this is waterfall or agile. I know in agile the sponsor kind of controls the backlog, but I know in waterfall, like so in projects we do, if there's a problem, that gets kind of communicated to us as the owner. If we're like if we hire out some, like we have we hire out PM teams sometimes to take care of our big capital projects. And when there's an issue, they do come to us, and then then they'll propose a change order, and then they'll go through the change. But we do want transparency so that we know what we're expecting.
All right.
And that doesn't.
Thank you. Thank you for detailed explanation. So what's happening here, during a regulatory compliance peer review, anomalies are found in a product design that necessitate a redesign. So in this situation, what's happening, we have already determined like redesign is required. So redesign is not a 1-day effort or 2-day effort that you just do it and just follow the process by keeping the client at distance. So before starting any redesign effort, you need to communicate with the customer or client, okay, this has happened. Because of this, we are going to redesign this. The problem with option C is that develop a prototype to ensure that the redesign addresses the regulatory issue. We're not talking about that yet. We're talking about like something has happened, what we will be doing that. So for example, let's suppose you develop a prototype and that prototype does not address the regulatory issue. What you would be doing? Still, you would be communicating with the client, right? Or you would be developing another prototype or third prototype. So the first and foremost action is when something like this happens, we communicate. And as I think Mary mentioned, we focus on transparency and open communication, right? And the similar thing we discussed in the previous sessions, like there was an inauguration and vendor announced a delay. So what you would be doing? You would be directly communicating with the end users or customers or management, like, okay, this has happened. We won't be able to inaugurate, but we are trying to find a solution. So before jumping directly to the solution, we communicate so that all parties, relevant parties, are onboarded. They know, okay, this particular issue has surfaced. Now we expect delays, or we won't be expecting normal progress. So the first thing that we will be doing is we will be communicating with the client, letting them know like this has happened, and then initiate the integrated change control process, look for other design or possible ways. Correct answer is option A. Let's read the explanation. All right, so transparency and open communication are the keywords. Let's move to the next question. All right, Jean, you have chosen option B.
Yes, I think what should be done next is just to forward those concerns and the cost and schedule impacts to the change to this team that would just make a whole detailed impact statement or assessment, and then from there, I think that's where the entity or just the person who submitted the request and the sponsors should be informed about the whole like impact and that will be coming from the change and all this assessment that would be done.
All
I
right.
don't know if you got it.
Okay, so you're saying the first thing that we need to do is send the change to the change control board.
Yes.
But the impact assessment has already been done. What the CCB would be doing?
So the assessment was done by the project manager.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that is not sufficient, right?
Yeah, I think the board would add more of like the strength to the assessment.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Robin, you have chosen option B.
Yes, my consideration there is that the change request has been initiated and the analysis has been done, because the project manager is in his analysis he's found that there's significant cost and schedule impact. So the next step would be to take it forward with the CCB. So that's why I chose option B.
All right. So you're saying you're following the change control process, and as per change control process, when initial impact assessment is done by PM, next step is it goes to the CCB for detailed impact assessment. So yes, this is relevant to the process that we discussed during the course. So please go back, go through that timeline that we discussed, those steps that we discussed. So first is when change request is submitted, it is submitted on a change request form, then change log is updated. After change log is updated, then project manager performs initial impact assessment. After initial impact assessment, the next step is it goes to the CCB change control board. They make detailed impact assessment, and based on that, they make decision if they are going to approve it, reject it, or defer it. Then it is communicated to all stakeholders. So correct answer is option B, have the CCB make a detailed impact assessment, right? Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Mary, you have chosen option A.
So yes, so changes that in fact cost, schedule, and so on have to go through change control board, but not all changes need to go through this board. Some can be done by PM.
All right. So you're saying some authority rests with the PM as well. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Marta, you have chosen option B. Exactly opposite to what Mary's saying.
Yes, and just because of what we discussed earlier at the previous option, right? That any changes must be registered, and then those should be reviewed by the CCB. So that's why I chose option B.
All right. But Marta, the problem with this definition or with this conclusion that we got from the previous question is that there was no other option, like, for example, approve the change. So, for example, project manager may have some authority to approve changes, but that was not the option. If that would have been the option, maybe our answer would be different. You understand that? But there was no option. The only option that was relevant in that scenario was send the change to CCB, right? Because we don't send the change to sponsor, we don't send the change to client, we don't communicate unless it is approved or rejected or deferred. So in that situation, yes, that was the right answer. Okay, right. Good try. Okay, so someone with option C. Jashri, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, since is my voice clear now, Omar?
Better.
Okay. So since we have a hybrid methodology being used, and there change when a change needs to be is contended with how to deal with that. Two members argue that all change requests need to go to CCB. So it might not be fine in all the situations. So it is better that we consult the PMO for clarification on the approved change management process.
All right. Thank you. So you're saying we should seek guidance from the PMO about organizational processes, right? Okay, makes sense. Perfect. Priya, you have chosen option D.
Yes. I think the change management plan probably describes what the team had decided upfront on how they would go about managing changes to change requests. So I think it would be better to have the team members and the project manager review the team change management plan because that will give them an idea of what it was initially set as a standard for the team. So I chose option B. Yeah.
You're saying standards are documented in relevant management plan, so we should review that. Okay.
Right.
Francis, you have chosen option D.
Yes. As she just said, I think there's a conflict because they're using like a hybrid, which combine both two methodologies, Agile and the waterfall. So therefore, there's this kind of confusion, like who does who, or who does what. So the reason why I chose is because if there's this kind of confusion, or they have to go and review the change management plan because before the project they have to outline like responsibility of which team, like who does what in case there's some change required to the project.
All right. So the problem here is that who is authorized to process changes? The problem is about misunderstanding or lack of understanding about authority levels. So remember, authority levels regarding change process, they are documented in relevant management plan. So change management plan is a document where we document the entire process with steps and procedures, roles and responsibilities of different actors who are responsible for change related activities, their relevant authority level. Yes, project manager may have authority to make some changes, but that should be documented in change management plan. And project manager may not have authority to make changes if it is written in the change management plan. So for example, if the organizational policy is all changes would go through the change control board, then maybe A option is incorrect. So it should be documented in change management plan, like what are the relevant authority levels of different actors in the project. And accordingly, project would be governed. So what we will be doing, we will be reviewing the change management plan to see the relevant authority level. And according to change management plan, maybe A is right, maybe B is right, right? Or could be both the scenarios. Some changes would be document managed by PM, some would be CCB relevant to the authority level. Correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
Okay, if I'm picked first, it means I'm wrong. The reason why I picked B, because it says they're still working on the previous version of the baseline. It means they are not aware that the new change has been approved. So effectively communicating the team would help them to have updated knowledge, updated version, so that they can switch to new version of the baseline. That's why I picked
All
B.
right, so you're saying team members are not aware of the change, so that's why they're working on previous version. So if we do effective communication, that could handle the situation. All right, thank you. Right. Okay, Yusuf, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, because the problem is the communication again. It's how much you are sure they receive the message and they understand it. So there should be a loop back that they understand that the change is seen and read, so they are aware about it.
All right, thank you. Okay. Richard, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, the reason why I went with option D, the question asks what could have been done to prevent the situation according to best practices. I agree with the effective communication. The way I looked at this, I wanted to, I saw this as the answers gave an opportunity to have to kind of grow your team. And the more that the team understands about the change process and what gets involved, the better they are at recognizing the change and how they can adjust their work according to changes. If you can, it's just one of those things where I felt that it's trying to make cross-functional members and give them the breadth of knowledge that they need so that they can kind of come up to the process as well. Ultimately, I say a knee-jerk reaction would have been, effectively communicate. Absolutely, you should effectively communicate. But in the answers, it was an opportunity to make the team members more aware of what goes on during the process. So that's why I kind of landed on option D. Face-to-face meetings, yeah, you can have that, but you're just letting them know which is a good option, but bringing them into the process, it really sticks with team members.
All right, but Richard, what sort of trainings you want to provide to team members? What kind of trainings that is helpful in this situation?
Just going there, showing them what happens, why the change exists. How do we go about initiating change, letting them have, they're part of the change management process. Like show them like the ins and outs. It goes to here, this guy goes and improves it. We send it up to the CCB or whatever, so they can give us a detailed explanation. We can read this. This is how we kind of structure it. This is how we change our work processes in accordance with it. And the effective communication, like that can also come through at some point in time where he'd be like, so, we went through this process. We looked at this situation. There was a change initiated. What could have been done better? Is it communication? Is it something else? Did you not read the radiator? I mean, what could have happened? This kind of, because it doesn't say how they weren't communicated. Maybe I'm reading too much into the question, but like I said, I just kind of saw it as an opportunity to better the team.
All right, thank you. Thank you for detailed explanation. Alan, you have chosen option A, I guess.
Yes, I did. So, from my understanding, the configuration management help us to have the latest version of the changes, have all the information regarding the changes, and this can help to the team to understand where we are with the product, when we can find the information, and it is like a repository.
Okay, right.
That
So you're
is
saying
what I choose.
configuration management is the right thing to do to make sure that team members are working on the right version. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Priya, you have chosen option A.
Yes, since it's a technical project, so developers are involved. I think configuration management is the way we manage change and technical teams. So that seemed to be the right option to me.
All right. So the problem with option B, C, and D is that option B, effectively communicating, okay, communication makes sense. Every time you communicate, okay, new change has been approved. Now what next? Team members, they know a new change has been approved. Now, should they stop working? Or should they look for new version? Or whose responsibility is this to issue new version? So after change management, we have a concept that is called configuration management. And configuration management, one of the components under configuration management is called version control system. So what we do is when change is approved, we develop new versions. We don't just develop new version. What we do, we collect previous versions from the team. So one of the sections of configuration management or version control system is collecting old versions. So you're not just communicating, you're not telling team members, okay, a new change has been approved, that's it. Now what next? Okay, we know change has been approved, now what we should do? Where are the new versions? So what we do is we do configuration management. We collect old versions and we issue new versions. This is how we ensure that team members have the right version. So rather than just communicating, just providing them training, right? What we do is we collect old versions, we discard them or store them in the repository, and we ensure by sending new versions to make sure that all the team members they are having the right version. So this is a more practical, action-oriented approach rather than just a verbal communication. Correct answer is option A. Whenever there is a change, we do configuration management, we issue new version and collect old versions back. When you collect, definitely nobody would be working based on old version if you have already collected all the possible copies or versions of previous documents. So correct answer is option A. Let's read the explanation. We have two comments quickly, Yusuf and then Manmeet.
Yeah, this is applied for written paper-based communication, but for the soft copies and other things, maybe saved somewhere and they are not getting updated in the system. If I'm
That's
not
a good
mistaken.
question. That's a very good question. And organizations, they have policies to handle soft versions of the documents. They do have policies. They make sure that when a certain new version has been issued, you need to discard all old versions. So this is one of the components of version control system, not just the hard copies, soft copies as well. Now this has been actively pursued and included in the version control system because most of the data is now these days in soft form rather than paper-based work. So now the organizations are actively pursuing policies to have a data management system where they make sure that soft form of data is being actively managed. So most of work now these days is done on soft form of data rather than paper-based data, right? So this is very, very important. Okay, Manmeet, you have a question?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I won't ask much explanation. I totally agree with the proactive or active explanation of configuration management. But when it comes to, for example, in exam, and this question comes, the first thing that come to my mind, or I think anyone's mind, is the best practice to prevent this situation is obviously communication, right? So how do we, I don't know how to make this correct in my head, that it's not always communication, it's something else as well to consider.
Yeah, I mean, you need to see what's the best thing to do. Do you think just communicating is the best thing, or taking the old version and supplying the new version and making sure that nobody has the old version? Which one is the right option? Which one is the comprehensive option? So just communicating sometimes doesn't help. You need to take some actions, right? So for example, if we don't have option A here, then option B would have been the best option. If we don't have option B, then C would have been the best option, right? You understand? So it all depends. If you have a better answer than communication, then you would be doing that, right? And we have already discussed this many times, right? Sometimes just having meeting would not help, right? So I think yesterday there was a question, have a face-to-face meeting. So face-to-face meeting without homework would not help. So in that situation, we did analysis first. You understand that? So there was a problem, I couldn't recall, like have a face-to-face meeting with the sponsor. Okay, face-to-face meeting, and what we will be talking about in that face-to-face meeting if we haven't done the homework. So in that situation, analysis and evaluation and homework precedes meeting with the stakeholders. So you need to understand what's the most effective option that solves the problem. So the focus is not communication, focus is not analysis, focus is solving the problem. So whatever option solves the problem, that is the right answer. Manmeet, is it clear?
Yeah, okay, clear.
All right, next question. All right, Priya, you have chosen option A.
Yes, the word crucial kind of made it sound like, it's an important meeting, and I would rather have all the stakeholders on board at the same time. So nobody, and especially it's related to scope. So when you have multiple stakeholders with different needs and wants, it's very difficult when there is a change to the scope. So I think it's better to have them all in one meeting to address these issues. So I chose A.
All right, thank you. So you're saying everybody should be present when we have issues like scope or we have changes. Okay, makes sense. Francis, you have chosen option B.
Yes, I've also chosen the option B.
Why?
Because I think we can still go ahead by just consulting like TCB and then update stakeholders later about the decision taken.
All right, so means you're not taking stakeholders' input, or you're not considering that is important here. So you're moving with CCB, and whatever the outcome is, you will be sending that update to the key stakeholders. Okay, the question says A recently passed city ordinance impacts the project scope. A crucial meeting to discuss these changes is scheduled next week, but key stakeholders are unavailable to attend. So you're saying it's okay. You can proceed with the CCB meeting and then you can update stakeholders later. Okay, right? If that is the case, Francis, then there is no need to schedule a meeting with them, right? If key stakeholders input is not needed, then you can directly go with CCB. There is no need to schedule the meeting. But okay, good point. Kokila, you have chosen option C.
I was trying to eliminate, first I was trying to.
Your voice is slow,
Can you hear me now?
a little better.
Yeah. So first I was trying to choose consult with project sponsor because it's kind of a very important thing and the project and the key stakeholders are not there to escalate it. But then I felt it's better, more than escalating, it's better to individually contact whoever is available before the group meeting. Because I feel differing is not going to help, because how long it's going to differ until everybody is available, and we cannot make any decisions when key stakeholders are not there. So B is also ruled out, so I picked option C.
All right, so one thing that is correct is please keep in your mind something is better than nothing. We don't just defer important issues just because some people are not available or all are not available at the same time. If all are not available at the same time, we should find a way to get their input, to find a way to get their insight about what we want. So why we are actually arranging this meeting? The idea of arranging this meeting is to get their insight about how to proceed with the change, so that you have that input, and based on that input, you conduct CCB meeting and then you process changes. Right. So the problem with option A is that defer changes until stakeholders are available to discuss in a combined group meeting. We don't always go for combined group meeting, right? Because our interest is to get their insight, get their input. If that is not available in a combined setting, we can approach it differently. So option A is not the solution. It doesn't address the problem in the question. There are regulations, there are changes. So, I mean, just deferring would not solve the problem. Option B, schedule a CCB meeting and later update. It's a reactive approach rather than seeking input before you are informing stakeholders. So this would not solve the problem, right? You want to schedule a meeting so that you get input from the stakeholders, and based on that, you make informed decision in CCB. So that is exactly the opposite approach that you're doing. Consult with the sponsor to decide how to proceed. As I mentioned earlier, we do that, but it's the last resort. We propose solutions to the sponsor rather than seeking guidance. We seek guidance when we have done everything, every possible thing has been done, and we don't have any solution, then we escalate and we approach the sponsor to handle the situation. So in this situation, the best possible action when all people are not available at one point in time, what we can do is we can arrange individual meetings with stakeholders before the group meeting to gather their input and insight. This would help us understand their thinking, their point of view, so that when we have CCB meeting, we take that into consideration. So something is better than nothing rather than just simply deferring or waiting for everybody to be available. We can get insight by arranging meetings with them according to their availability, so that we have some insight that we will be using during the CCB. Correct answer is option C. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Rahul, you have chosen option D.
Yeah. So the question says that there is an impact, and I think before you do anything, you just need to log the issue, because if it's an impact, so there's an issue. So you log into stakeholder register, because the stakeholders might be different. So
But Rahul, if it's an issue, it should go to the issue log, not in the stakeholder register.
no, but that option talks about modifying the stakeholder register, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Why you're modifying a stakeholder register?
Because there is a restructuring in the
Okay.
stakeholders.
Okay, makes sense. Perfect. So you're saying there might be a change in stakeholders community as indicated in the
Yeah.
question. So best option is to
Modify
update
this.
stakeholder register. But there are two options for update the stakeholder register. Which one you have chosen? Option C also says update the stakeholder register.
Okay, great to see.
Okay, good try. Thank you. Priya, you have chosen option A.
Yes, learning from my lessons of the previous question, something is better than nothing. I think having the meeting as planned, I thought was a good idea, just to get a sense of what the existing stakeholders have to say about this change that's happening or how it's impact them. So any conversation is always going to be helpful in understanding the situation better. So I thought that would be, I wouldn't cancel that meeting. Since that option was there, I would just proceed with keeping that meeting. And then as the changes get pushed down, maybe by the sponsors, or there's more clarity on what it really means for the team, and then we would take the next step.
All right, but Priya, what's the purpose of that meeting? Why you're conducting the meeting? What's the reason?
The scope changes, to discuss scope changes.
No, not to discuss changes. It's a meeting to seek approval for the scope baseline. You have developed baseline. You need approval from the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So if stakeholder community has changed, then who would be approving your scope baseline? And what would happen with the people who have just joined? They won't be. So for example, if your sponsor has changed, if your key stakeholders have changed, then who will be approving your baseline? Old stakeholders or previous stakeholders are no more relevant. So how you would be getting approval from previous stakeholders? Does it make sense?
True, that's a good question. But you can, I think the second half of the answer said you can have another meeting if necessary. So I think that kind of answers that question.
So you're saying get approval from the current stakeholders and have another meeting for approval later, right?
Yeah, if there's any revisions needed. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, Richard is saying just happened to me today. Richard, could you please explain what has happened to you?
So today I work for school systems, and today they sent out an update. Our organization restructured a bunch of principals, and they just shift them around from school to school to school. It affected three of my projects, because now I have a new key stakeholder that is going to be approving colors and selections for my projects. So the first thing I did was I updated my stakeholder register, and I made them part of the community by emailing them, reaching out to them, and making them aware of what we were doing, where our process was at this point, and what impact it is going to have to their school. So I went with option C, because it doesn't say that we need to postpone the meeting, but they're seeking to approve stuff. So I mean, that stakeholder community, that restructuring has affected your stakeholders now directly.
Yeah.
You can't just meet with these guys once and meet with them later. You need to approve a scope baseline. So they need to be a part of that process as well. And it doesn't say that you really need to delay anything or anything like that. You update your registry because you need to document the changes so you have a running list of who the stakeholders are, and then you can go about the project and to meet with everybody just to make sure that everybody's there, you're communicating with everybody correctly, and then you move forward with the project and get your scope baseline approved.
All right, absolutely. So whenever there is a change in stakeholders community, if your stakeholders have changed, so you should seek approval from the current stakeholders. There is no point of seeking approval from the stakeholders who have left or are leaving your organization, are not relevant to your project. That approval would be redundant. That would be unnecessary. That would not have any value. Ultimately, you need to seek approval from the new stakeholders. So if you have received this organizational restructuring information, then you should proceed with new stakeholders community. Okay, but one question is still there. What's wrong with option D? There are two options to update stakeholder register. Okay, this is what we will be discussing now. So first thing, we're not proceeding with the meeting as planned and plan another meeting because this meeting would not have any value because current stakeholder community is no more relevant. If they are not relevant, so we won't be proceeding with the meeting. All right. Postpone the meeting and wait for guidance. That is not the option. We have already discussed that. We don't do that. Option C and D. Who would like to answer? So, Yusuf, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, if I compare the two, I will not do a request of change because who will approve it for me? That's number one. Number two, even if I have a sponsor, now we did not study the stakeholder, the new stakeholders categorization and other things. So I will do a request based on what? So first of all, I have to update my list and study each stakeholder, come with a baseline, and then I propose it to the people that this is the changes there.
All right. So you're saying since you're not sure about stakeholder community or who will be approving that, so you won't be doing that. First, you will be updating stakeholder register, and then you will be issuing.
I will update.
Okay.
Yeah, if I say update the register, that means I have to study each stakeholder SWOT analysis. So I have to be sure about his status and then what's his contribution to the project and so on. So you don't update the register without going through this.
All
but
right.
if I request a change, if I will tell that I'm requesting this people to be changed, okay, you did not do your full analysis, you don't know who's out, who's in, and so on. So you have to do the exercise and then you may update. So it should be an update rather than a request for a change.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Mary, what's wrong with option D?
Well, I think that stakeholder register modifying doesn't go through change request or board.
Okay, right. So you're saying updating the stakeholder register does not require any change request. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Right. Kokila, you have chosen option C?
Yeah, Amar, because proceeding meeting, as you said, it's without the stakeholders meeting as planned and plan another meeting is not going to help. And postpone the meeting and wait for guidance from the project sponsor means as a project manager, you're just depending on someone and not taking actions and decisions on your own. And issue a change request to modify the stakeholder register. Change request, as far as I've learned, I'm not sure if its change request is used to for modifying the stakeholder register. So change request comes for modifying the application related to stuff, but I've never seen modifying register. We have a change request.
All
So
right.
that's why I picked the C.
All right, so you're saying we need change request when we need to change scope of the product,
Yeah.
not for the updation to the register. Okay, makes sense, right? Manmeet, you want to say something?
I don't know if my explanation is say it's good or not, but I actually went for the English words in here. C says update the stakeholder register, and D says to modify. So according to me, modify means when we are making changes in the previous one, but we are also doing alterations. Updating means there's something has changed, and we are just updating it, like maybe making it aware or announcing it that this has changed in the previous work. So first thing, that's the first reason I picked C, and second is to the C has the word incorporate changes in the stakeholders community. I think that's the second reason why I picked that C is the most effective answer or solution as compared to D. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's my explanation.
All right, so your answer is correct, but this is for everybody. PMP real exam does not go into that detail. They would not trick you based on the meaning of the word, right? They would use very simple language. So update and modify, they have same meaning here, right? So if you're updating stakeholder register or modifying that, it's the same thing, right? So there is no difference. Okay, one last comment. Richard, you want to say something?
To my understanding, change requests are made to update a scope, and there is no formal approved scope baseline, so there's nothing to change.
All right, that is the right answer. We need change requests to update baselines and our project plans. So whenever you need to change your baseline, scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, or you need to update any of the plans like communications management plan, scope management plan, project management plan, risk management plan, then you need a change request. Updating documents does not require any change request. So for example, you have a stakeholders register and contact information of one of the stakeholders has changed. So one of the stakeholders has informed you like, this is my new contact number and you need to update your stakeholder register. Do you need a change request? You don't need a change request. You can simply update that. So whenever there is a change in the stakeholders community, we don't need a change request. We simply update a stakeholder register and it's a continuous process that we do. So whenever there is a change in the stakeholders, just update your stakeholder register to have latest information regarding current stakeholder community. So in this question, there is a change. The next thing that we will be doing is option C. Let's read the explanation. All right, everybody, I hope it is clear. So we are done. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned a lot. This is very important topic from exam perspective. So please pay attention and go through the notes once again, go through the entire process. That would help you understand what's going on and do analysis after the session, right? Take notes during the session. Write down what are the questions where you struggled, what are the questions which were easier, so that you learn based on that, right? So what's your score in today's session? Just write in the chat window, whatever your score is. You can write directly to me. 8, 3, 5, 6.5. Okay, 7, 6, 5, 6, 6, 6. Okay. Don't worry if your score is less than 5, nothing to be worried. Go back and reflect, right? Take notes and go through those topics again. Try to understand these concepts. That's the only way you would be learning, right? If you're getting 7, 8 means you're really good. You have good understanding. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see you on Monday with another interesting lesson. We are still discussing processes domain. The entire next week, we will be having 5 sessions and we'll try to complete processes domain in next couple of weeks. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Amar.
Bye.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You
Thank
too.
you.